Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Hello, everybody. This is Take It from the Iron Woman. We again have Diane with us, a special person. Last episode, we heard from her experience on the Camino. And it seems like that Camino, that way, that special pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela in Spain, keeps staying in her life every single day. I'm wondering, Diane, tell the listeners a little bit about your life and how you think of the Camino every single day.
When I was walking, I would meet periodically a woman from Amsterdam. She worked in a bookstore in the airport. The one thing I remember her saying to me, we were in Burgos, and I was saying something about getting lost, because on the Camino, you follow your way with yellow arrows. They're painted every possible place you can imagine, but not always in plain sight. And I remember her saying to me, there is always a yellow arrow. That has stuck since she said it. And I hold on to that because in the time since I came back from the Camino, my father passed away. So my mother had predeceased him in 1999. And then in 2015, he finally decided it was time to join her. Now it means that you are an orphan. And even though I have 6 brothers and sisters, we don't have the family home anymore to go to. Mm-hmm. So there was a big change there. And there was another big change. My litigation consulting practice pretty much slowed down and dried up. There were a lot of changes in litigation. There were changes in the world. It became clear to me that my time in Orange County, California was over and done. So it meant putting my own home on the market and then going to look for a new place to live. And that took time. It took a lot of time. And what kept me going through all of it, and some of it was pretty dark, was that notion that there's always a yellow arrow somewhere. It might not be really obvious. It might be painted in a hidden place, but you're going to find it. And so here I am. This is 2019. I've been on Whidbey Island for 2 years. I came up to Washington in the very early part of 2017. And so there's been a lot of letting go of what I knew, how I defined myself, how I identified myself, the work that I did, the way in which I did it, and come to a completely different part of the world. I mean, the Pacific Northwest is about as different from Southern California, as black as from white. Having to find a new community, figure out who your peeps are. Where will you be of use in the world? How can you make a living? All of that has been unfolding over these years. And what I keep remembering is there's always a yellow arrow. So just keep your eyes open for it.
Exactly. And I think those yellow arrows, sometimes we look for them and we might look too far. They're right in front of us. I think that's sometimes what's impressive. Sometimes we also look too hard when we need to be more patient, probably.
Yes. Sometimes the locals will change the arrows. And you might be with a group of people. Some people are insisting this is the way to go. Others in the group say, this is the way to go. And trusting, well, what do I think? Where do I think the path is based on what I can see or what I can feel? And so that instinct of being able to trust yourself in that kind of a situation, as well as in life, because the Camino that I've been walking since I came back has been a lot of that. Trusting that I can let go of the house that I love, trusting that I can let go of the community, trusting that I will find a new way of making change in the world, of being of use in the world. That's my guiding light.
In a way, you said it, you have to let go. There is this theory, you also have to let come, right? So it's like a wave. First they go and then they come. The theory of Otto Scharmer, interesting concept. So you assess, you let go, and there comes a time of quietness, and then you're open to receive. And it feels like you found a new community, but it's also taking a risk, probably being open and trust that you go the right way, the right camino.
That's a beautiful metaphor, because that's exactly how the ebb and flow of our lives go. It's that. And in order to allow something in, something has to go away.
Yeah.
And I think there is fear at both sides. Fear that you're letting go of something you know, fear that something is coming in that you don't know. So that's beautiful. I will remember that.
And now tell us a little bit about your latest venture with the podcast. I know we're both on the same journey. Again, a journey, a camino, a way.
It found me. It did. It found me. I was minding my own business, and a friend of mine who was part of my storytelling group said, "You really ought to be listening more to this Seth Godin person." And I knew of Seth and I knew of his books, and I said, "Okay, fine. I'll just tune into his blog." And one day, this TPF4, we're going to offer TPF4. We're not going to do it again. You better log on, push the purple button, and ta-da. And that's exactly how it happened. And I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't have the time for it. But the goddess, the divine, somebody knew that I really needed this. And it has been a remarkable journey, not only meeting really wonderful, sophisticated, articulate, intelligent, creative, determined people, but also watching and listening to their voices unfold. And at the same time, realizing that I had shuttered my life and my voice for a long time. And now looking at this and saying, oh boy, this is a second act. This one I'm really looking forward to, because this is a place that I feel comfortable in.
That sounds like another great journey for you. And isn't podcasting like a storytelling? So you combine the storytelling and the podcasting is just a way of sharing it with the world.
Exactly. All of us are doing that, whether we're doing host on mic and telling a story or we're listening a story out of someone. It's just a form of capturing stories. And that's all we are. We are story making people. I feel like I'm home.
That's fantastic. And it's nice when we feel at home. I can relate to, I also got that probably daily email from Seth, and it was that purple point or purple circle you had to push. And I was like, okay, this is it. I didn't know what to expect, but here we are, and we're producing, as they say, we're shipping. So we're also learning new terminology. I'm wondering, so are you interviewing people or are you host on mic, like telling your own story?
I want to do a combination. So I've interviewed 3 people so far. I've got 2 more on the books, and I've done some host on mic. So what I'd like to do is make a hybrid of the 2, also to gear it so that they're shorter, so that I've got maybe 15, 20 minutes of guest. If we break it into a couple of sections like a series, that will give people a sense that they can listen, and then what happens next, so we can bring them back in again. I'm really charmed by this idea that you and I have been working on, along with our colleagues, about recording 60 seconds every morning. And I'd like to find a place on the podcast to put that, because I think they're just absolutely just precious little nuggets that we get to have. And listening to your voice has been, and reading your work has been very encouraging for me. Just to see where you're going with it, how you're developing it, your generosity of spirit as you put your work out there, and then as you comment on the work of our colleagues.
Thank you very much, Diane. That means a lot. For the listeners, I want to say that when Diane and I spoke before this episode, it's just an experience. Probably like I climbed Kilimanjaro, I did the Ironman, you did the Camino. What we would have never expected, I have to say. I mean, I take a lot of online classes, I listen to webinars, but I realized that's always alone. And what we learned with the TPF, which is the podcast fellowship, we were not alone. And to me, that was so beautiful. And to meet interesting, sophisticated, very successful people in the world already. To me, that was the nugget that I take away. And also we've never seen each other. It just bonded us. And one special person, always Brandy, we want to name her here, Brandy, had exciting exercises for us also to bring the physical into the room. And that's exactly what I'm also interested in. So how can you bring sports into the business world and also in your personal world? Yeah. And
Yeah.
Diane, what is your podcast called? We need to know that.
It's called Stories from Women Who Walk. And I'm creating a space where I want to hear from women. And I do have some men, there will be my bonus episodes. But what I'm curious about is how you've walked your life and how your life has walked you. Because sometimes we get thrown things that we didn't expect, we didn't plan for. That's your life walking you. And then how do you manage that? How do you deal with it? How do you handle it? How do you come out of it? Where's your yellow arrow? What did that experience do for you? So that will be the intention, is to share those stories with the idea that it will be uplifting, entertaining, some practical tips, but always giving the listeners a sense of hope and imagination.
That's what we need in these days, really. And when are you ready?
When I'm ready to launch it?
Yes. I'm a coach, so I'm asking those questions to push people forward.
Somebody put you up to it. My expectation is to have it actually dialed in before the end of the year, certainly way before the end of the year, but we've only got maybe 5 weeks. And of course, we're coming into the holidays. So it's just a matter of syncing everything. I have my Simplecast account. I have my interviews done. And right now it's just a matter of syncing it together and then actually putting it on Simplecast. So I hope it's going to be a matter of a few short weeks. And then I can be playing with the big dogs, jumping in, or playing with the cool kids in the cafeteria.
So we're waiting for this. I'm glad that you want to have it out before the new year. 2020 actually is the perfect vision, right? So we're ready to hear more stories, women who are walking. Yeah, this is exciting. Any insights for the listeners that we can expect? You said you have already 3 episodes.
Oh, okay. So I've also interviewed Brandy. Our friend Jay in London I was talking with him about his novel in progress and what it's like as a father with young sons, letting them walk their way. I spoke with Mina Fung earlier today. She's up in British Columbia, and she has a fascinating story about leaving the corporate world where she knew she didn't fit and what it took to become a life-changing coach. How does she move through her fear? How does she help others move through theirs? Yeah, there's a couple there. And then, of course, like everyone else, I've got that list, the list of people. But the expectation is once a week, you will hear from me and people or women as we're walking our ways together through life.
That's beautiful. I can't wait to hear the first few episodes. Keep on being with you on the path. So thank you so much for sharing and good luck with everything. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Buen camino.
Buen camino. Gracias. Thank you for listening. What an interesting story. Everybody is on their own camino, on their own path. Looking forward to hearing from Diane's podcasts. Leave a comment, follow us. Every Monday will be a new episode. Thank you.